Hello, good evening. It's Sunday. Welcome, bienvenue, wamkerekire to this shortish message. Just welcome, come near if you've come this upon this video of mine. I am Fikiri, the Dark Feminina, and I wish to help people remember hope in the Creator and through the created heavenlies, the heavenly beings, the angels and archangels, the Nefr, that is the gods, and the saints. Remember, the Nefr are like the saints, only more powerful. And it's easy to completely forget that the Creator cares about his creation. Goddess and God are one, and there is a lot of deception around these past. It's been gathering over the years and over the tens of years up until today. It's humanity's on and off has been on and off over the many generations of humanity with honoring the Creator in the right way and honoring the Nefr, the gods, in the right way, and believing that the Creator cares about the difference between Nefr, which is holy, and Biye, which means evil, real evil. Today there are there's a lot of talk that the Creator doesn't mind if people choose just a little bit of evil if they're really scared, if you're really in need, and it's not true. Some are telling themselves, and I've been taught by people who are being untruthful in what they're saying, that the old religions of any continent, any kingdom, nation in the world has provision for a little bit of evil if you're really scared, if the times demand it, if the politics of the times, dynastic disputes of the times demand it. Apparently, suddenly a little bit of Biye is okay, and it's not true. It's an untruth of horrific proportions. The holy, the Creator, is not one-dimensional, and what the Creator has taught humanity that is holy and holiness is certainly deeper and higher and more varied than the current understandings and teachings of holy and holiness allow for, which is a very deep and tragic pity, because people are condemned when they shouldn't be. They feel afraid and guilty when they don't need to, and that inner fear, when people have believed, on top of the inner fear, that the Creator won't mind if they choose a bit of evil because they're afraid. Unjust is unjust, and that's what evil is. It doesn't want to help you. Humanity got confused. Ba means evil. Evil, from the source of all evil, whatever we're calling it. I am a religious, spiritual person, and I was required some years ago now, perhaps 16 years ago or so, that another way of, or a good way of describing the devil is to simply call it it. Every word is problematic because every word means holy, and It's in and of itself, but as words have been used differently in different times and climes. But it can describe it's kind of a, instead of calling it the devil and then getting into arguments and doubts with people and then questions about the devil's just the horn god, and the horn god of course is holy, so then we end up get sidetracked almost immediately through the names we use. And of course in Kialotutisi, that is Egypt, Masr, from book from BC times, it also has a very holy religious meaning. So we're actually stuck. We just have to be sincere, genuine, as to what we're really referring to and what we're really trying to communicate. So I'll call it the source of all evil, the father of lies, as the Bible refers to this real source of Biye, real evil. And I really want to encourage people to think seriously about the subject of holiness and of Biye. Maat has no time for evil. You can't actually mix holy with unholy. They don't gel. They don't glue together. People have got to stop excusing their wrong choices, your wrong choices when you're making them, and as well, I'm following the old religion, because that's just insulting the old religion. I'm following my local African traditional religion. You're insulting your African traditional religion if you think it's all about evil. To think it's going to excuse your deliberate wrongdoing, no, then you've insulted and you've blasphemed the Creator again, and you've insulted your traditional religion. Learn the Tofauti between real, holy, and what and BiyeEvil. They are not the same. Of course, they're not the same. Learning concepts, religious literacy, that is it's not about learning to read and write physically necessarily. A person can learn it and become cognizant. They can gonda, they can understand fahamu in here and here in the heart, even if they can't physically read and write. But it's the literacy of understanding and taking to heart, and then living by it to the best of one's ability. And it's not about, and that's not about stressing about your lack of perfection. Don't, I've heard it recently. No, don't let people deceive you. People need to be more aware of how much deception there is. No, the old religion of England does not accept evil. What do you think all those laws were about? On the one hand, they said that they have capital punishment, and on the other hand, they don't care what people do. There's no concept of right or wrong, of holiness or Biye or what were they executing wrongdoers for if they had no understanding of the difference between holy and, well, just not holy, the opponent of life altogether? And please learn the difference. Please care about the difference. If you've fallen into believing that it doesn't matter or that it's helpful in any way, it is not it is not useful, it is not helpful to use Biye. It reveals your secrets. It exposes you for being a person who would make a decision to injure someone else unjustly in order to save yourself, which is what evil does. It doesn't do justice. Justice is a concept of holiness. It doesn't do justice. It does more injustice, and then tells people that you're the one that chose it, the injustice. Then it gets people to chase you because you chose injustice. It hates everyone. The author of lies, evil, of real, genuine, evil that is not holy, not the supernatural, but real evil. It exposes the person who chooses its powers, its ways, and its deceptive opposition to the creator, to creation. It likes to present itself as just a bit different. It uses all the words of freedom and difference and choice and alternatives, um, and it calls itself ancient concepts. And the people who've been deceived by it, they get other people involved in the past. They used to do this when there was fear, when there was a threat. Your family used to do this. People who are like you, whatever the like you is about, nation, ethnicity, region, which dukedom, shire you belong to by blood, which part of the world, whichever they're calling the people like you, which is supposed to be about holy, which is holy in and of itself. But they tell you that they're trying to convince people that there's an evil that was acceptable to right-minded people, to people like Merlin or Gandalf. They try to. It's incredibly clever in all the wrong ways at getting people to believe that injustice was somehow or other a part of religion and culture and custom of the past. Culture, custom, tradition, they are holy. So if someone's trying to convince you that being unjust in order to save yourself is somehow or other part of the religion of England 20, 2,000 years ago or something, no, that could not be true. Not because people were perfect at the time, but because tradition, custom, culture, certainly religion, which infuses them all, law, the law of the long, absolutely is about holy. And Nefr is an a Kialo Tutisi Egypt Masr word uh, from the beginning, which means holy. And if you look at the 2 Egypt Book of the Dead, you'll see that the prayer, that or the hope of the subject of the book facing judgment is that they will be judged holy, that they'll be allowed into the afterlife, that they'll be found found innocent before the Creator, having done their best. And of course, the forgiveness it comes from the Creator. It's not our goodness, it's the Creator's goodness, but we do need to aim at true holy. And the deceptions of it's just one big insult that the religion of England 3,000 years ago was about Biye. No, religion's never about Biye. Sometimes people choose it and they try to justify the evil that they've chosen with words of religion. In other words, it's a big deceptive exercise in trying to hide the fact that um, they've chosen to be unjust to one person or group of people, many thousands of people, or thousands and thousands, a whole nation perhaps, or section of a continent. It's just, please remember there's a difference between holy and unholy. Remember that what sad to say, but what the churches these days condemn as not holy is sometimes holy. It depends on the exact subject and the exact meaning. of the speaker, of the person asking the question, or the person making the statement. It, it varies, and of course I haven't got time in this video to go through all the things that there's a lot of teaching to go through. But essentially, if someone's asking you to be unjust to someone, to be cruel to them, to ruin their reputation when they don't deserve it, to ruin their job prospects, because you've got a secret relationship that you wish to hide, whether it was 50 years ago or 2 years ago, or that, what you need to do, if that's you, whether the relationship is acceptable really according to Royaume, which allows for more than one marriage at a time, but the country you're living in, the times, the understanding of people, I mean, obviously that's another deep subject. um, I'm not condemning people for having extra relationships to the one that they're supposed to have necessarily, but it, if you're just being horrible to your husband, wife, partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, they think there's just you and you're a loving couple, and they, ladies, if you're square for the Royaume, if your square husband says you cannot have a particular relationship or a particular extra relationship or series of extra relationships, then it is adultery for you to go ahead and do that because of personal performer, which comes from the goddess and God. Goddess and God are one. So in other words, if the two of you are married, there's you and your husband, you're married, and you decide that you want to also be in a relationship with another man, and you're square through Vreen, the merged worlds of this world, this Ray world, and the inner Ivry worlds, which are real. If you're square, if you're not in touch with him in Ray, but if you're square, especially if his netta self says no to whoever it is you want to be in a relationship and says not him, not that, then you cannot. If you go ahead, then that is adultery, because you do not have the permission of your squaredo husband, your male square. Ferrari, because people aren't taught this clearly anymore these days. Well, it's not nobody's taught it, but not enough people are taught it at all. But it used to be considered a necessity that people understand these matters. If your square says that you can have that extra relationship, then in essence, it's holy. It's actually not. It's actually not adultery then. If you're square, though husband, your square, SQW says you can, then in actual fact you can, but you have to be wise, because what's the likely reaction of your husband at home if he finds out? Are you prepared for the end of your marriage, to become homeless, to become reputationless? Not all of your family and friends are going to accept, so there's a lot to consider. But you'd know in your heart that you hadn't committed adultery in that case. But how many take the time to understand? How many can take the time to understand? Because they need to have been taught this to begin with, and most people haven't. Of course, your husband at home does deserve respect, at least the respect of you not being cruel about it, and in panic saying nasty things about him when he's innocent. In here, we all need to be careful, whether male or female or hermaphrodite. We need to be wise in here and have a heart in here, being unjust because you've got a problem, or even if it's because someone's threatening you. And there's a lot of injustice that happens when a person is afraid. And then if on top of that, or before that even, if don't be unjust, people. Don't victimize people. Don't victimize me or my parents, my square, anyone. Don't victimize people hoping that your injustice will get you any kind of goodness. It cannot. Injustice doesn't do goodness. It does deception. It can make it sound as if it's somehow part of an ancient scheme to do this, to do that, just protecting my country, just protecting my continent, just protecting whoever and whatever it is that the person's, or so many are indulging in it. It's seriously, of course there are problems. Of course there was a pandemic. Of course there was a pandemic and all the problems that happened with it, curfews, lockdowns. Of course there was, because people were accepting that if this is what the spiritual insight, perception that I have, that my spirit helpers were warning me, this is what people are doing. They may be smiling, especially this past few years, some too many, even though friendly, although to me sometimes they were not so friendly because it was plain. They don't know me. We haven't had an argument. We haven't even had an argument in Vreem, in the inner lives. They don't know me. I don't know them. They're not all related to me. The Royal have more people. In fact, the human beings, whether Royal or Philain, we have people have more family than they know, and more relatives than they know. But still, there's no way I'm related to everybody. But the reason they go for me is because I am the dark feminine. I'm the Cleopatra. I'm the reigning Cleopatra. And the author of Lies and Isfet and Biye, it is fighting the creator. To fight the creator, it wants to destroy creation. It what it can't destroy, it wants to dominate in the horriblest of ways. It it doesn't do justice. Evil doesn't do goodness. It cannot. It by definition, it cannot. And to insult your ancient religious traditions, customs, whether openly done or hiddenly done, it's the real thing is holy. But your ancient religions, whether of England, the British Isles, or anywhere in Europe or anywhere in the world, I like to start with England if I can, in order to just honor my own country of by blood. As I said in my earlier videos, Aparu, you can't judge a person's nationality by Aparu or by relatives insisting that you're any nation that they may care to insist that you're part of. Your national insurance number beginning will tell which nation you are by blood, even which family, as I've been teaching these past few years. So what I'm trying to say, I'm saying it with some passion, with some depth of feeling. I'm hurt. Some of you have hurt me. Many in their not caring. And it comes through from the Ivry worlds into Vray. I've tried to be gracious, but I've also tried to teach, because you're facing your own ruin too. To hurt another person unjustly, it will come back to you. So if mocking won't change that, doing more of the hurtful thing won't change that, nothing will change the fact that if you're unjust, whether we're calling it, depending on the language we're speaking and the religious tradition we're referring to, judgment will come. the creator and the created heavenlies, judgment will come. And those created heavenlies, the Nefr and the saints, include one's ancestors. So the idea that you can, yes, you may be able to laugh at home that that person doesn't realize that you're the one who set them up for whichever horrible event happened, and you pretending you care, and if you know them or if they're near you, and but you haven't deceived the creator, and you haven't deceived the Nefr, you haven't the gods, that is, you haven't deceived them. So you're not going to get away with it, whether in this life or the next life, which life where you get caught up with, but you will be caught up with. And no amount of trying to transfer your guilt onto me or to somebody else to make it seem as if your wrongdoing was mine when it was yours, even if the world believes it, it's not true. And the Furies will get you. The Furies of mythology, which are beings and Nefr who pursue and punish the wicked, not just murderers, but where there's been injustice. They'll catch you. Believing that there are no such beings as the Furies. Well, there are, but you know the angels will catch you. You know your ancestors can catch you. You know the creator will catch up with you. Eventually, you'll be caught up with. And it's not funny to cause injustice. And if nothing else, be practical about it. You will be caught up with. To try deceiving the angels is a waste of time. To try deceiving your ancestors actually is a waste of time. Of course, you cannot, over all of them, deceive the creator. You'll be caught up with. So the best thing is to work on a good conscience. You don't have to be perfect. Don't stress about your lack of perfection unreasonably, unduly. Human beings, we do err, we do sin. It's unfortunate, we're weak, and sometimes we say things we shouldn't, we agree to things we shouldn't, we do things we shouldn't. But the answer is humble acknowledgement before the creator and the created heavenlies, at least. And it's certainly, the answer certainly isn't to do more wrongdoing in order to cover the first lot of wrongdoing. Some people have got so caught out by it, it's shocking. There is no escape from justice. So the very least, don't do deliberate dambi. Don't do deliberate sono, sin. Don't do deliberate sin. Don't be deliberately unjust to someone because you've got a problem, or you're afraid, or even because you're threatened with death. Even when you're threatened, and it's imminent, threatened with an unjust execution or an unjust, you're about to meet your maker. If you can't be rescued, then doing more sin just before you meet your maker? No. You send out blessings. You pray. You contact you ask your ancestors, but you don't do more. You don't join the wrongdoers because you're subject to even that horrific scale of injustice, and it happens too often. The wrong people are convicted of killings that they didn't do. We ask the truth pool, and the truth pool says no, it wasn't that person. It was such and so and so. At the very least, it will clarify who didn't do it. And care. The creator, the goddess and God are one. The creator is only holy. And the enemy of the creator wants everybody guilty, 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 and guilty as just weighed down with sin, because he wants to destroy what the creator has made. Doesn't like life on earth, and it certainly knows how to use the words of life in order to deceive people into joining it in fighting goodness, fighting holiness. Be careful with your inner agreements and your inner choices, because what you choose will impact not just your life but other people's lives. In the end, we get things like illness spreading as people chose these evil compras. I mean, compra is holy, but people have been choosing the Biye, anti-life, anti-true goodness plots and schemes. And the result is that there's more illness, there's more injustice, and there is more illness. What I was saying earlier, just about to finish, even if you forget parts of this, although essentially don't choose deliberate injustice, don't use the power of the evil, the true evil one, because it's wrong and it hurts people. And then you become afraid, because how many are now afraid that they think they've ruined people's lives or got people's lives ended, and then the apparent answer is to do more BA, more evil, more injustice, so that somebody they trust who's promised them that they're definitely not holy. I mean, so many people panic at the thought of being put in holy in the truth pool. You bring them into holy, bring them into the holy pools, the holy mists, truth pool, truth mist, truth clouds, and they panic. Not holy, not holy, not good, not the truth pool. And as soon as they become convinced by someone, somewhere, that what they're being taught is about evil, really, then they relax, because they're deceived. If that's you, realize you've been deceived by someone, a group of people who want the awful suffering and end to your life that you've agreed to for somebody else. They know about making people guilty so that they can tell themselves that it doesn't matter, that they victimize you by choosing you and filling your head with it's okay to be unjust to someone because you've got a secret to hide, or you want to gain success, or whatever. Because whatever. If you don't choose Biye for that, you choose Nefr, you choose Sancti, so you choose just taboo. The taboo is a native Australasian word, or Australian word, really, Dala word that is used throughout the region. It means holy. It's imperative that people do try, aim at holy, aim at true goodness. Of course, we're not perfect. I'm not telling people to stress about your lack of perfection. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But our hearts need to want to have a good conscience. Victimizing somebody else because you've got a problem, or you fear you may have a problem one day. Permutations of mad thinking that hurts people and kills people. And the result, in the end, is that heaven and nature respond, and we get COVID, greater cancer rates, monkey smallpox. I mean, monkeypox, monkey smallpox, essentially it's a form of smallpox. I'm not saying that people don't wish illness and evil. That's the reason for my this message. People can try to either poison people by putting their hands from what they know is their own illness, but it's not showing, and they put it in a meal or something, or they try to sneeze over people, not because they're just sneezing, but because they're actually hoping that they'll make other people ill. And be careful, because obviously some people are just sneezing. We all sneeze sometimes, we all yawn sometimes, but some people, you know in your heart if this has been you. So no more of that. It's so important. Don't be part of deliberate sinful schemes, plots. Be careful when someone says, but it's their right. It may not be. They may tell you that it's your right, and then the next minute, and then they know that if you're claiming a dukedom or a kingdom that you're not meant to rule, people will come after you. And they know they're putting your life in danger. So be careful. Maybe have a look through some of my earlier videos to learn a bit more, or my posts on Instagram, Twitter tweets, Fikili, the dark feminina, or just the dark feminina. And feminina is it's a Latin, an ancient Latin. Of course, there are varieties of words in Latin. And Latin, like all languages, comes from Chialo, called Africa. It comes, and all languages in Chialo come from the Nile Valley. They all come from Chialo Tutsi, like all people in the world originally. All our ancestors did at one point, right at the beginning, before the nations were settled. It's much more fun in Holy. You can learn so much more, because the Creator and the heavenlies, the gods, the saints, they'll be blessing and encouraging you on, instead of chasing you about because you're being unjust to someone. Try and make sure that it be practical. And may your consciences follow your practical choice to be honorable, if only to make your life easier. And then which, when we choose well, we get blessings. When we don't, we get told off. However much grace we're shown, eventually grace runs out. So if you want the pandemic to go, give up using Biye. It's powers, it's excuses, it's deceptions. Just choose holy. And may the Creator bless your efforts. May the created heavenlies bless your efforts. Do try. Because otherwise you're part of your own distress. That's what I was also meaning by, if your conscience doesn't yet care, at least be practical. If you don't want to be part of your own distress, do you setting up difficulties and illnesses for yourself in the future? So, if for nothing else, be practical. And I do pray that your consciences follow your practical choice to avoid deliberate sin. When you're not sure, just send out a blessing. When you get a prompt from someone to be part of an unjust setup of horrible against people, groups of people, then refuse and send blessings instead. Holy yourselves. And you can holy yourselves this way. Of course, the author of evil has corrupted everything. So everything I could show you about how to get yourself in holy, someone will undermine somewhere, or is undermining anyway, somewhere, with, oh, you can use that for. And what they want you to use it for isn't true goodness. It isn't real goodness. It's not culture, custom, tradition. Remember, the real things are Nefr. They're holy. They make holy. Yes, as I've said before, it can shock in how deep and varied it is. you can ask the truth pool, as I've been teaching people to do. If it involves being unjust to someone, then avoid. Just avoid. So many people's judgment is impaired, switched off, because they've been using Biye for so long, following its ways. Maybe leave punishment alone. For now, ask the Nefr, pray to the Creator. Okay? Blessings. We're all imperfect, I know, but we must aim at a good conscience. Okay? You know it's true, really. Blessings. Amen. Haze of blessings to the only Creator and to the created heavenlies, including us living matter. Some of us are at the top by Creator's choice. So I do bid you adieu, and if there's a next time, till the next time. Be in holy.